Welcome to Arville Castle in Belgium. Set on a stunning family estate, it's the perfect place for one of the toughest legs in the series. Expect dogged determination, real drama and fierce competition from the world's very best riders. This is eventing reinvented. This is Event Rider Masters.
Leg 3 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series is located here, just outside of Namur, at the 400-year-old Arville Castle. Home to the Leaderboard family, it really does offer a spectacular setting for all three phases of the competition, and with a lineup that includes 6 former leg winners, 7 different nations, and 2 former series champions, including, of course, the 2018 victor Chris Burton, who topped the podium here in Arville 12 months ago. He is back to defend his title, build some series points, and he is well placed as we head into the show jumping a little bit later on this afternoon. We had the dressage this morning. It all took place in the huge all-weather arena here in Arville. The facilities really are second to none, and the cross-country tomorrow afternoon will be taking place around the surrounding parkland. We're in for a treat, so sit back, relax, and stay with us all afternoon, because the show jumping coming for you very, very soon. Delighted to say in the studio with me for the show jumping, Stephen Way, international rider, and Mark Ruddock, who was with us for the dressage this morning. Stephen, start with you. Your first visit to Arville. What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's been cracking. It's a great event, and the atmosphere is really heating up. A lovely course and lovely surroundings. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pretty amazing event, isn't it? And Mark, in terms of the field that we've got making the lineup, that's pretty amazing as well.
I think just look, we're world number ones, leg leaders, medalists, really competitive and really bunched tight together.
The list goes on, and actually we are in leg 3 of the series now. We've had 2 legs already. It was Chatsworth in Derbyshire and England in May, and just a few weeks ago we were in Germany in Wiesbaden.
Leg 2 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters, and the world's best 15 combinations representing 6 different nations face off in Germany.
This is my first Event Rider Masters of the season here at Wiesbaden. Every phase is important, and you have to nail it right the way through.
I'm here to win, for sure. I love to do dressage, so for me to compete here in front of the castle, I just love it.
The dressage phase kicked off in style in front of the magnificent Biebrich Palace on the banks of the Rhine. A typically cool test from Michael Jung and Star Connection earned the pair 22.2 and 3rd place at the end of the dressage. Julia Krajewski and Samurai Deto's excellent performance earned that pair 21.0 to lie in 2nd. However, it was Ingrid Klimke and SAP Hail Bob who stole the hearts of the judges and spectators alike. 16.4, and not only a personal best for the combination, but the new Event Rider Masters record dressage score to take the live lead going into show jumping. Penalties came thick and fast as the weather closed in on the main arena during the show jumping phase. Michael Jung continued his fine form on Star Connection, jumping clear and on track for a podium spot in his first Masters appearance of 2019. Whilst compatriot Julia Krajewski also jumped clear on Samurai Deto to add nothing to her dressage score of 21.0. The biggest shock of the phase came when the final combination, Ingrid Klimke and SAP Hail Bob, entered the arena.
And that goes as well.
12 faults, and the hot favourites couldn't protect their record-breaking dressage score, dropping out of the top 3 and leaving Julia Krajewski, Michael Jung and Bill Levin to top the leaderboard ahead of the cross-country. With the world's best horses and riders targeting an optimum time of 5 minutes 50 seconds, the technical track posed tricky questions as it wound its way through the trees of the Schloss Park and into the main arena. Home crowd favourites Ingrid Klimke and SAP Hellbob made amends for their mistakes in the main arena earlier, jumping clear and under the time to finish on a score of 28.4 and take third on the leg 2 podium.
And a huge cheer from the crowd.
Chris the Rocketman Burton of Australia once again lived up to his name, going double clear across the country on the up-and-coming Lortan Chloe. 28.3, just enough to secure second. But it was Michael Jung and Star Connection who raced to victory here in front of a home crowd. 5 minutes 53, 3 seconds over the Optimum to finish on 23.4, and the combination topped the podium here in Wiesbaden at leg 2 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters.
Well, leg 2 in the series, Wiesbaden, really was absolutely incredible. Stephen's headed off to walk the course, so he's going to come back and join us very shortly. But Mark, in the meantime, just a word on Wiesbaden, leg 2 in the series. We've been there for a couple of years now with the Event Rider Masters. It's incredible.
The whole venue is just the show, the dressage, the show jumping, the vaulting. It's like a horse fest, isn't it? And just amazing to see Ingrid do that record and to be there.
Seeing history, 16.4, didn't just beat the Event Rider Masters dressage record, absolutely obliterated it. And Michael Young, pretty impressive performance from him.
I think the whole management of the horse, a year since his last previous competition, the management and the class of the man, the class of the management, the class of the horse.
Well, he hadn't run cross-country at this level of competition since Jardy 2017 when he won with Michael Young in the Event Rider Masters. He is joint top of the series leaderboard as things stand at the moment, alongside Laura Collett, who is here this weekend. Now, Michael Young doesn't make the lineup, so Laura Collett looking to build on those points. Then there's Chris Burton, of course, hot on Laura's heels, and he comes forward as defending champion here in Arville and has a very good chance. Looking a little bit further on down the order, Sarah Cohen and Treason also very well placed here after that 4th place finish in Wiesbaden, and others to look out for: Janelle Price, Bill Levitt and Izzy Taylor. Keep a very close eye on them because they are sure to be big contenders to pick up points this weekend. So if we just have a moment, Mark, to talk about the series, because I feel like this weekend it's almost a bit of a Chris Burton, Laura Collett showdown.
Well, it's built like that, and how the dressage has happened, I think it's made it even more so. And there's so much at stake. Money, honour, you know.
And they, make no mistake, are hugely competitive as well. We're going to come on to their dressage performances very shortly, but just in terms of who else can pick up big points this weekend, there's a number of contenders.
Well, we've got Bill
Levitt.
We'll call him Bill.
We don't call him William.
Sarah Cohen, Cutty, we'll do all that. But, and we must not ignore the prices. They must, not be ignored.
You never ignore the prices, ignore them at your peril. So in terms of the competition here in Arville, the dressage all took place in that main arena over our shoulder this morning, and there was, as we expected, some very impressive tests. We're going to start with Gemma Tattersall, who is our leader coming forward to the show jumping, but Mark is pretty tight at the top. Gemma produced a very good test.
Gemma produced a very good test. She says herself she thinks it was better than Bramham. I didn't see Bramham's test. We're just a little highlight here of why she's in the lead. This extended trot, she goes so elegant, in rhythm, rides the horse in a lovely frame and looks easy, and it's mainly the transition we have at the end that actually this is where the big marks come from, because it's the detail that Gemma had, and that's why her nose is in front.
Only just in front. A whisker in front. A whisker is enough, and she is chased very closely by Chris Burton, who won here 12 months ago and actually came forward with quality Purdy, did a very, very good, solid test.
It did, but I've not been horrible. But I was showing the 2 flying changes in the test, the difference. This is why he's not in the lead, because that change was late, behind, so that's a 4. And Gemma and him are so tight in the marks that was why he's not in the lead. And then we come to the second one, when he comes around here. And this is why this sport of a dressage, one little error makes you not. And we're going to come round. We missed the other one.
And who else stood out for you this morning?
Nicola and we have Laura.
Laura Collett.
Yeah.
Well, she is actually hot on the heels of Chris Burton in the leg leaderboard here, but she is ahead of him only just in the series. I think she was a little bit disappointed with her mark.
She was, and when I was like reviewing this, I'm still disappointed because sometimes you think, oh, maybe it wasn't right the mark, but the way of going, so supple, so rhythmical through this whole trot sequence, where she gets a lovely angle, you can see the cadence, the hind leg crossing, and then she just flows into the half pass. So I was putting this for Laura to say, actually, I think you may have been a little bit hard done by. Because it's beautifully presented, positioned, everything you want to see.
This is a horse that has been in really, really good form this year, as has Gemma Tattersall and Quick Look, as have a number of others in the field. And the leaderboard going into the show jumping is exceptionally tight. There is just over a pole covering the top 10. I think one pole for the top 8. That's 13 seconds on the cross country, and that really is nothing over a tight time track like this. Quick Look, Gemma Tattersall, we saw a bit of their test a few moments ago. 28.8, they're out in front at the moment. Chris Burton, Bill Levitt tied in second at the moment on 29.7. Both of them on the podium here 12 months ago. Janelle Price, Very Dynamo, don't write off that combination. They are hugely experienced, and Izzy Taylor from Berner Lancer, a good test for Izzy. A little bit further on down the leaderboard, Dirk Schrader, Designer 10, just outside the top 10, and Frankie Reed-Warrilow delighted with her test with My Squire de Rêve. So that is how things stand in the dressage, the fast of the three phases. It really is the triathlon of equestrian sport, and we cannot wait to see how that leaderboard is shuffling as we head into the jumping phases a little bit later on. But Echo Ratings have been crunching all of the numbers for us here this weekend, and I think it's time that we see what Derm says about the dressage this morning.
Well, Nicole, this morning, look, definitely the talking point is that we're a little bit ahead of where we expect it to be. So 33.8 average. We were expecting it to be 29.9 based on who was lining up here. What's really interesting, though, is when you actually look at the two sessions, one of the conversations that we had over lunch were, was some of the early tests marked easier than some of the later tests? These are the types of conversations that the fans and probably the riders will have all of the time. Fascinating, though, 35.9 was what we actually what was our actual average for the first session. We were expecting it to be 32. So 3.9 marks in the difference. When you get to session 2, you can see that actually the exact same happened again. So we did have that consistency. 31.5 was what we ended up with. 27.6 was what we were expecting. So while the conversation might be that the scores are a little higher, actually we've had consistency across the day. And if you were to take that 3.9 or that 4 marks, let's call it, one pole away from the whole field, we would be pretty much as we were. The sub-30 crew, of course, we expected there to be a lot more. There's only 3 in there. This was the area that I was expecting to be putting in as your winners. They're all now in with big chances. When you want to look at who's got a chance here, don't forget to tune into the Eventing Prediction Centre. That's one of the latest developments from SAP. So you've seen the ads, you've seen Clive Owen, you've seen people talking about SAP. What is the technology actually doing? Here's one of the big innovations, using all the power of the predictive technology that SAP have and using it in eventing to model 10,000 times. They run this competition in this venue with this field, and they see how it plays out. That's the Prediction Centre. It updates after every phase. Right now it has Chris Burton as favourite. We also have stacks. Hannah Bickett is leading stacks at the moment. Correct answers on stacks. She's up to 14, which is an incredible score already. And finally, of course, the Fan League. So whether it was spectator judging in the morning, whether it's the spectator judging app now to see which polls will stay up and which polls will stay down, use those apps. You can contribute to valuable Fan League points. Nicole, there's a lot to play for on and off the field.
There really is, and make sure you get involved in all of those behind the scenes at home. Love to hear from you on social media as well. Well, one combination that we talk about a fair bit in the Event Rider Masters, the rider's a firm favourite, the horse is a firm favourite, is Tim Price and Westco. They're long-term partners. They absolutely adore each other, this combination. We always love watching them, and there's a good reason that they get on so well.
I first started riding back when I was 7 years old. We just moved from the city in Christchurch out into the countryside. We had some ponies in the paddock, so I jumped on them and started galloping around basically. the point that I realised horses were, the thing that I wanted to do and to excel at, sort of came along in my mid-20s, I would say. I did start to realise within myself that I had the ability and the situation where I could go further and further. So from that point on, things have sort of climbed up nicely, and here we are today. Riding has become, I guess, it's our life. It's what we do. So it is really important. But it's not just the riding. I love horses for everything that they represent, but it's also the ability to pursue your competitive spirit through a channel, and the channel for us is horses. Wesco, he's just one of these unique horses that don't come around every day. His trajectory to the top was rapid. He got to advanced level with ease, earning a 4-star along the way. And where things started to take a bit of a downward turn for us was 2016. We were preparing for Kentucky horse trials in America in the spring of 2016, and he had a little injury. That injury not only put us out of Kentucky contention, but out of Olympic selection contention. So that was really disappointing, because he had the likes of the Olympic Games written all over him. Something that majorly compounded that was his owner at the time, the late Christina Knudsen. She actually passed away with a rare form of cancer. So that was a massive blow to her friend's family, to the whole situation. It was a bit of an unknown time. It was over 2 years before I knew I was going to be able to get him back and get going again. Yeah, just the not knowing was really tough to live with, considering he was the horse that forged the early part of my career, and that was like my best mate. He really is. So it was a really tough time, but a great phone call at the end of that time to hear that he was coming back my way. He's just an out-and-out special horse. There's obviously a really tight relationship that I have with him. We get on very, very well. So he's got this almost human-like way of thinking about things and presenting himself, and he's very, very clever at charming everyone around him. And along with that nature, he knows when to deliver performance. This year is going to be exciting. The Event Rider Masters series is going to feature for him quite a lot, because he needs the atmosphere. He's a horse that likes to compete. Next year we'll nail down a podium at the Olympics, and whatever happens after that will just be for us and for everyone else to wait and see.
They really are just the most incredible combination, and they would be very popular winners if they could take the top spot here this weekend. We'll be watching Tim and Wesco very closely as we head into the show jumping, but as we creep closer to the start of this second phase, I think it's time we went down and spoke to Charlotte, who'll be getting all the behind the scenes reaction from our riders.
Thank you, Nicole. Now, I wanted to show you what it's like for the horse and rider as they enter the arena for this second critical phase. Now, they've warmed up in an indoor school behind me there. They come out into bright, bright sunlight, up this path, and here come follow me, into this beautiful show jumping arena here behind me. But it's intense. The crowds are right there. It's quite tight arena. Now, I think the time could be influential. Riders are going to have to work hard to keep focused, and I think it's going to be very, very exciting. I'd love to see what happens.
Well, we'll be finding out what happens very, very shortly, because the first combinations will be going into the arena in just a second. Stephen's back with us. You've walked the course.
Yep.
What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a really good adventure out there. It's tight. There's only 12 marks between first and last. And every corner, every hairpin, there's a related line, and it's going to come up thick and fast.
Thick and fast. Mark, from a closeness of that leaderboard, every penalty, as Stephen says, is going to count. Time is going to be tough as well.
As we found in Wiesbaden, the time actually tempted a couple of them to have poles. Tim Price had one with going for the time. Sarah Cutty had a time fault going for a clear round, so she balances it out.
It is the balance, isn't it? You've got to push for a clear round, but you also don't want to risk those time penalties.
We've got the long route.
We're going to talk about the planks and the long route, the Event Rider Masters planks a little bit later on, because they are often a real challenge in terms of the time. If the time is tight, riders don't have any choice but to take that shorter option. But so we'll be looking to find out from ECRA ratings in just a second who is going to jump clear, because Derm, you're going bold with your predictions here in Arville.
You know what, Nicole? I thought I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm just going to let you know who's going to keep the polls up. That's the most important thing. First thing, Arville. Of the Event Rider Masters venues, it has to be said, this is one of the ones where, just judged on last year, nearly 40% of people jump clear here. That's in like the top ones that we've ever seen. The average here, the average across ERM is about 25%. This was, as I say, 40%. Let's get on with it. Who of this list could jump clear? You guys are going to be commentating on this, Nicole. I don't want you to get too carried away if we don't see a clear round in the first 10. And I mean, that feels like a lot. And we're going to be talking about it getting harder and harder and harder. But it could be, I'm looking at maybe even going as far as Janelle Price before we get our first clear round. I'm going to say as few as possibly 4 will jump clear. Look at the top. I would say maybe Gemma could have a pole. That would leave Chris in the lead. It's going to be very, very tight. Not much between them. Back to you, Nicole.
I have to admit, I am loving the bold predictions from ECRA ratings. We're going to come back to Derm later on and see if he is getting them right. But we're just a few minutes away. Let's go and take a closer look at what's in store for our riders with Charlotte.
Thank you, Nicole. Now I'm here with Gemma Tatzel out on the course. You've just walked the course.
Yep.
What are your immediate thoughts, Gemma?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really tough track. You know, it's well up to height, and there are lots and lots of combinations. Starting with fence 3 over here, a vertical, very tall vertical, on a tricky bending line to this SAP double.
Just walk us through this line here. We come.
Yeah, the oxer out of this double is very, very square, so that needs plenty of space in front of it. And then we come here on a tricky, very tight turn to full up the Event Rider Masters planks.
But you've also got the option, haven't we?
Yeah, so we've got the option here of a very square, quite wide oxer, which then also takes you round fence 9. We're going over there to the water tray, and if you take the option, you are going to be outside the time. There's no doubt about it. The time's going to be really, really tight. So for me, the planks is an absolute necessary, got to jump the planks. You're taking
the planks?
Yeah,
okay,
100%.
let's just walk this way, baby Gemma. So coming to the planks, so you've jumped the planks.
Yeah.
Now, it's quite a tricky line from the planks to fence 6, isn't it? Just talk me through that.
Yeah, I think when you jump the planks, you're going to have quite an open body. You're going to have to really use your eye, because the horses actually follow body language. So try and use your eye and your body language to guide them round to fence 6. And also I'm going to be thinking about using my outside leg and my outside rein so that I don't lose the outside shoulder and therefore lose the straightness.
You'll be thinking about that. You'll be thinking outside rein.
I'll be certainly thinking about keeping her straight. Yeah, definitely.
I'm very impressed with your dressage discipline while jumping. I'm loving that, Gemma.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. So yeah.
Water tray, is that a rider fight that a horse is going to mind that?
I think some horses can really be spooky at a water tray. I have a couple of horses actually in my yard that are spooky at water tray, but Pebbles Quick Look isn't one of them, luckily.
Good old Pebbles. We love Pebbles.
We do love
I'm
Pebbles.
looking forward to seeing how you ride it. I'm sure you're going to. It'd be a textbook for you, I'm sure, Gemma.
Hope so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Gemma will be the last rider out in the show jumping with Quick Look as our dressage leader. So reverse order show jumping here. Lord Shostakovich and Nicholas Bishkora will get us underway in just a few moments. Garrigue Lacoste and Asprey de la Loge, my eye catchers from the weekend so far. Got a little bit tense for the inexperienced horse in the dressage, but watch out for them in the jumping. Sarah Cohen and Treason, she needs to leave the poles up. Were very, very good and quick across the country here 12 months ago. They'll need to be in touch after the show jumping to capitalise on that. Then here we are, the top 9 in reverse order. Laura Collett de Capo, big series points on the line for her. Tim Lips, Eclipse, Tim Price, Wesco, the names keep on coming, and Gemma Tatzel Quick Look will be the last to go. Breaking news just in is that Nicola Wilson has withdrawn Bolana, and she will not be coming forward to the show jumping. So Nicola Wilson, Bolana have withdrawn, and that will mean that the leaderboard gets even closer at the top. So as we head into the show jumping, Stephen and Mark with me. Stephen, just for a moment, Gemma said that she thinks the time is going to be really tight. What were your thoughts on that when walking?
I think they've got to create a great canter to start off with, and they've got to stay on that canter. There's no time to bulge out or add a stride. You've got to be on your strides, keeping the rhythm and getting the horses motivated to go there all the way.
Well, Nicholas Bashkora, the first rider to go, and he comes forward with Lord Sostakovich, a horse he owns himself, and they are going to give us a really good indication of that time allowed. It is 82 seconds as things stand at the moment, and 0.4 of a penalty for every second or part second thereof over the time. It does add up very quickly. So, Stephen, I'm going to go ask you to talk us through the course with our first rider, Nicholas, as he comes round to the first, and it's a nice inviting start to this track, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice oxer, it's square, but it gets you in there. This horse is a little bit spooky, to be fair, and he's showed him the water tray already. So this could be, he could be entertaining. But, you know, look at the canter, he's fixing it up, and now he's going to send him on his way. And then you come up to a vertical, so he'll sit tall, just wait for a bit. And then he's got to move around this corner. This is a hairpin turn. This is where riders could lose the clock.
This is the combination that Gemma was talking about.
Yeah, that was a nice 7. And see how balanced it was. And then he got a good turn coming back to these Event Rider Masters planks.
Does the water tray under the planks help?
The way it's positioned actually keeps you off the rail. Which a lot of horses and riders will then can attack the water opposed to being a little bit defensive. So he jumped that really well, nice down on the 5. Yep, lovely balance, got him back together, and now he's just got to keep coming around. He's cut in tight here to keep the time tight. It's a vertical in, so that's forgiving, but then now he needs leg. Yeah, really well done. Ooh,
well, the time looks okay as he comes to the final fence, and he certainly didn't hang around, but that is clear round number 1 in the bank. Nicholas Bashkora, Lord Sostakovich, 40.1, and easily inside the time there, Stephen. Are you surprised by how easily he made it?
Yes, to a point, but actually he rode a really tight line, and you saw his rhythm. It didn't change. He kept every stride the way it was, and the horse responded to it, so it was a great result.
Well, Nicholas Bashkora had a little bit of luck with a rub at the second, but Lord Sostakovich, a horse that has had a bit of time off through injury in recent years, absolutely faultless, and taking the Event Rider Masters planks very, very easily. No problems at all there. So 1 round in the show jumping, 1 clear round in the bank, and he will stay on that score of 40.1 going forward to tomorrow's cross country over Rudiger Schwartz's track. He did ride his luck a couple of times, but sometimes you need a little bit of lady luck to see you right.
Might adjust that time.
Well, we will come on to that, because actually the ground jury can review it after the first 3 combinations have gone. They have to make their decision by then if they wish to change it, and we'll keep you updated. So Nick Lucy, Croon leader even, making his Event Rider Masters debut. Nick on a score of 39.4.
He was a little bit slower around that corner there, so it'll be interesting.
And another to quite happily take the Event Rider Masters planks.
I think they're all going to do it. The oxer just throws you so far out to the left-hand side around the number 9 jump. You just can't catch up on when you're jumping this big.
The time will be interesting with this horse because it's got half the ground cover.
Yeah, and he's being a bit cautious like there. He's just taking a half halt, setting him up.
So Nicholas Bashkora was jumping into the treble at 20 seconds. So Nick Lucy is a little bit down on the clock, but still comfortable as the clock looked so easy for Nicholas. And faultless round so far for Croon leader. Did jump clear at Bramham a little bit earlier on this year. And Nick would dearly love to show jump clear on his Event Rider Masters debut. And Julie does so inside the time. Nick Lucy, Croon leader, gives us another clear round.
He looked after that horse really well there. He just, he knew his horse and what he had to do to get him clear.
And it wouldn't be the most experienced horse in the field, only a 9-year-old, but Nick gave him
a great job.
A really good confidence building round. How much does that make a difference to a horse stepping up to the level, coming out in an atmosphere like this?
Oh, it's huge, because you go out there now and you look at the cross country and you feel even braver. And horses get confidence from your confidence.
Well, next to come forward will be Jirig Lecons and Asprey de la Loge. So they will be competitor number 3 in the arena, but we've just seen Nick Lucy jump an absolutely faultless clear round. So he holds his position. We're going to be checking, and actually news just in, the ground jury have reduced the time to 80 seconds. So they've only taken 2 seconds off it, but they have reduced that time to 80 seconds. So we'll see how much of a difference that would make, both of those combinations that have gone so far.
After watching those two, I don't think it'll have a massive influence, but, you know, different horses, different combinations, but these guys are experienced at this level now.
Nick still had 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And
look comfortable.
this is our favourite Facebook stalking horse.
Mark, yes. So when doing my research, this horse actually goes in a rather unorthodox tack for the show jumping, and normally in a sort of a bitless bridle, but not a traditional hackamore.
He's getting in the air.
He's certainly looking exceptionally careful.
Wasting time in the air.
Yeah. But his rhythm's really smooth. Like, there's no argument. It's so balanced. Look at that, straight down the line. Horse knew its job. Now he's picked up the speed just to make sure he does get inside the time.
I'd be interested to ask him about the bridle, because on the flat it didn't have a contact problem. So.
Oh, there you go. A little bit of imbalance coming in, just quickened. And I think the rider just leant into a bit and he was not careful enough in front.
Well, an unlucky pole down for Jirig Lecons and Asprey de la Loge. 1 pole down, so 4 penalties to add, 40.9. It drops them behind both Nick Lucy and Nicholas Bushkora. And I think he'll be a little bit rueful from that, because the horse actually jumped beautifully. And Stephen, just talk us through the bridle, because you see hackamores sometimes as a bitless bridle, but they exert pressure on the pole.
So, like a hackamore is actually a bit without the bit in the middle, through the mouth. But those bitless bridles are to do with pole and nose pressure. So obviously on the flat and in dressage he'll take a contact, but when it comes to jumping, that contact might be just a bit too hard for him, so he fights. So he's just gone to a bitless bridle, and obviously the horse is very comfortable.
Absolutely loves it, and really gave plenty of air over a lot of those fences. Unlucky to have the part in the treble combination down.
Just a little quick going in there.
Well, here comes Frankie Reed-Warrilow and My Squire Darev. Frankie delighted with her dressage of 36.3. 36.8, I should say, sorry.
Yeah, she sat tall to that vertical look, keeping the shoulders out of the way. She put 8 in there. 6, yeah, just a little creeping down the line. She's doing her best with her upper body, but he's just a little on the forehand. Now she's gone for a big one.
Does that stride come up fairly short to the Wilbury Wonder Pony Oxer?
Oh, she's had that, and that was because of the big shot she had in. And you can see how the horse is a little long in the canter. She can't get him back quick enough to respect the verticals. Yeah, good in. Now power. Yeah.
Well, Frankie Reed-Warrilow, My Squire Darev, carrying 8 penalties as they come round to the final fence, and the time is going to be tough as well. She's going to pick up 1.6 time penalties for being just under 4 seconds over the time. So 9.6 to add, 46.4 her total score.
1.6 title for Francisco Rivola with 83.82 seconds, so 4 seconds over the allowed time of 80 seconds.
Well, 4 combinations have gone so far, and now it is the sole Italian rider in the field, Pietro Sunday, Rubis the player, who comes forward on 36.3, just outside the top 10 in 13th position coming forward. Actually, this is the horse that Pietro rode at Badminton a little bit earlier on this spring. Going to salute to our ground jury, as it would be appropriate prior to starting his round. And then the bell goes, which allows him to, gives him the signal that he can indeed start that round. So, Pietro Sunday, Rubis the player. Stephen, early indications on the course so far. We've had 2 clear rounds. Has it jumped as you would have expected?
I think everything is coming up quick as I said it would, but the horses that are balanced and the riders that sit still and wait for those strides that they've walked, then the horses are able to see it and perform. It's when you just either quicken the pace or you just lose that little bit of balance, and especially with these turn backs, the hairpin turns, that's when your body and the horse has to be at one with each other.
The interesting thing is all the things you've been saying is all the commentary I was giving on their issues on the flat.
Yeah, it's just an extension.
I don't believe this, that
I do.
there's a link. You know, it's just stability and the balance.
Yeah. And the 6 strides between 6 and 7 actually came up quite nicely for Pietro. We've seen a couple go in a little bit deep, but he found that very straightforward.
Well, the water tray backed him off a little bit, and then he actually had to press up to the big oxer, which helps you because you don't want to restrict the horses all the time. And then again, he jumped that triple bar really nicely and just flowed down on the 7 strides or 6 strides to the vertical.
And actually, he is down on the clock as he comes into the combination. So we're going to watch that very closely. Pietro Sunday, Rubis the player, comes round to the final fence number 12. And he's going to be flirting with the clock, but he's going to sneak inside. So Pietro gives us clear round number 3. And an excellent clear round it was. So we've had 5 combinations. Let's go to Echo Ratings and see how the numbers are stacking up so far.
Well, it's all changed, Nicole. It's a completely different story now because we've already had those 3 clears. For me, I'm already starting to look at the record. I'm already starting to think, is this going to be the round in which we have the most clears ever? So if we got to 10, that would be the most ever, over 61%. That's where we are. I'm starting to get closer to that 10.
The leaderboard is very, very tightly bunched, and actually sometimes when the clears come, it does mean that it just adds a little bit more pressure to those riders that are coming forward in the top 5 or 6 because they know that it is jumpable and they know any of their mistakes will be punished very heavily. So next to come forwards will be Alex Bragg. Alex rides Alcatraz, owned by Sarah Hughes. This is a horse that has only competed once at this level previously, jumped double clear on that occasion a little bit earlier on this spring. And this is a horse actually that specialises in the indoor derbies over the winter months, so has won and been placed in Paris and Geneva. And actually when he was over in the States as well, being produced by Alison Springer and Ryan Wood, he also had a good deal of success there. So that would indicate to me that he is fairly careful, Stephen.
Careful, but like they've got a great relationship. You know, I saw some of the footage from those indoor events, and you know, Alex just goes. He doesn't take a pull. The horse understands, and the job's done.
And Alex is a real showman, isn't it? We saw when he won in Shardy last year. He loves whipping up the crowd.
Oh God, yeah, and that's what the friends and everybody wants too. Someone just to help him up and get the whole crowd involved.
Cautious.
Yeah, he's sitting there. It was a little bit argumentative coming to the double, and there it got a little deep. That's whether he's just moved up the pace. Good jump out. So now it'll be interesting to let him balance. He'll come on a nice stride to this oxer, triple bar. See, he's seen the forward one. Now he'll just wait. Yep, wait. Yeah, good stride. Took a long one, but he's got a really good rhythm. Like, he's not interfering with the horse.
And he trusted the horse down to that
Yeah,
vertical, didn't he?
but that's why the
No.
relationship's already there. You know, he's... Ooh, bit of a rub.
Alex Bragg, is he going to give us
Ooh,
clear
he could get a
round
time fault.
number 4? The time is looking
Oh,
tight.
and the last.
The last goes. So Alex Bragg, one pole down, 39.4. He'll be disappointed with that. Sneaks inside the time, but he's still one to watch out for across the country. For now, though, let's go to Charlotte and see how things are out there down on the ground.
Frankie, well ridden and unlucky 2 down. Can you just talk us through what happened?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's really nice to be back here for me and putting myself under a bit of pressure. I feel like there's some tweaks I need to make so that I can help her a bit more. I feel like the 2 rails were my fault. And she's massively out of her depth in this field and quality of horses. But you've got to try and you've got to see what levels you're at, and then it's something to aim for in the future.
Absolutely, very well tried. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frankie.
Well, Frankie really is very competitive, and she thinks a huge amount of this horse. Vesper, as she's known at home. No doubt we'll see them have a good go across the country tomorrow. Now it is Kirsty Johnston with WTTL Opposition Skylaw, a horse that was actually bred in the Johnston family. 34.9 at their dressage in 11th position coming forward. They had 1 pole down here 12 months ago when on their way to finishing inside the top 10. Can they jump a clear round here today and put the pressure on those in the top 10? A horse that missed the second half of last season. Kirsty recently started a family. Brilliant to see her back in the saddle, and she is certainly riding as well as ever.
Yeah, she just lives down the road from us. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're quite nearly neighbours.
You'll have the inside scoop then.
I don't have any scoops, but I know that she's bred a lot of horses and brings them on herself. She's a really lovely rider and has got a good backlog of horses that they've bred, and you know, she brings them up to the top level. Yeah, just held and waited for that extra stride. Good power coming out though. Little leg there. Oh, she's going to add.
Now, she added again going down to the Wilbury Oxer, and actually that has gone. Is this going to see her time just looking a little bit tight as well?
No, I think the horse jumped in really well and got a bit brave, and she's like, you can see it, it's just travelling a little too quick, and now she's trying to look after it and get it back on its hocks. Yeah, and unfortunately to that oxer, it was just a little too quick. See, she's turned in tight. She's not going to be slow, but she's just looking after the horse. Look, it's jumping massive, like it is just taking the ground.
As she comes round to the final fence,
She's going to have a time fault.
She will just keep an eye on the clock. Kirsty Johnston, WTTL Opposition Skylaw, 1 second over the time, so 0.4 of a penalty, and that drops her 1 place, 39.3.
So that's just 1 second over the time now. 0.4 time penalty, 4 jumping penalties, total of 4.44 for Johnston.
Well, heading towards the halfway point here in the show jumping of leg 3 of the Event Rider Masters. Now, this is a round that we're really looking forward to seeing. It is Dirk Schrader with Bettina Hoy's Designer 10, 33.9 there. Dressage Dirk taken on the ride from Bettina, who's campaigned this horse really successfully at 5-star level, inside the top 10 after the first phase. Horse who can be liable to the odd pole in the show jumping, but is more than capable of jumping a clear round.
Ooh.
A little bit spooky going into the first, Stephen?
Yeah, that's an interesting line, but yeah, you got away with it. Yeah, it's gone a bit green. Like, come on, that's it, Dirk. Kick it in the guts. Get going. Get it in
There's
front
no
of your leg.
excuse to be green, this horse.
No. But
It is difficult, a new partnership, isn't it? Because even if you're riding at home, in a competition environment, you are still getting to know each other.
Yeah, he's working hard. Oh, and then had it back. But that was because he wasn't making the distance down there and he was a bit off. And for whatever reason, it has gone green on him. He's working too hard. Like, see, wow. He's riding well. He's riding it brave. And that horse needs the braveness so that it like I said earlier, it needs to be in front of the leg. So it stays in front and focus on what its job is.
It's a difficult head carriage, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit high and it's a bit tight, so you think the back end's not really working as hard as well as it could. Kick it.
And Dirk really responded there, didn't he? He felt that he landed a bit short and actually acted on it and made a decision, and the horse responded beautifully. So Dirk Schrader coming home with just the 1 pole down, and that is how he goes forward to the cross country. 37.9, drops just the 1 place on the leaderboard.
He did well.
Yeah, he rode it really well, and it finished braver than it started.
And to be fair, his dressage test improved as well.
Yeah.
So, like you say, and it's gone from a small lady to a tall man, and everything needs adjusting, doesn't it?
Well, my
his mind.
claim to fame is hop and skip. His good horse. I started that.
Oh, did you?
Get that in there.
Claim to fame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Dirk Schrader worked hard with Designer 10, but it just drops him the 1 place on the leaderboard, that 1 pole down, and Pietro Sunday will be in the top 10 going forward to the cross country. Now here comes a couple of Event Rider Masters favourites. Sarah Cohen and Treason just picked up a couple of time faults in Wiesbaden, left the pole standing. They need to do so again, and if they do, they will be fast across the country tomorrow.
She's a good, consistent rider. She's not got loads of horses. I was speaking to her when we arrived, and she said, I'm enjoying this week and I don't have the kids.
Yes, it's a bit of a mini holiday, a mini break.
Yeah, the feeling. You've brought yours. Oh.
Good shot. Yeah, it could be a little bit more positive, but like he's still clearing them.
Well, the time looks okay for Sarah Cohen, so she just needs to concentrate on jumping clear. Oh, just rattling, and both parts of the combination go, and again, the wheels are slightly falling off for Sarah Cohen and Treason. This is huge disappointment for them and a huge dent in their series points chance as well. She drops down to 16th and she'll be really disappointed with that. Just talk to us about what happened there, Stephen, because things were going really well and unfortunately very near the end.
Just the turn back to the treble, like she sort of drifted a little too far away, and then she had to make a real good squeeze of the vertical and didn't make the oxer easy, so he just tapped on the back and then didn't make it on the back end.
Well, real disappointment, a big moment for Sarah Cohen and Treason. 3 down, really dent their chances here. And they were inside the top 10 here 12 months ago. They're going to need to go very quickly across the country tomorrow to re-climb that leaderboard. Now, here comes Izzy Taylor. Izzy with the Lancer studs, Von Berner Lancer. This horse coming forward in his first run at this level has been very successful at 3-star level, the level below this. But Izzy, of course, very experienced herself, a former Event Rider Masters leg winner. Has been on the podium previously as well, was on the podium in Jardy last year.
This chick doesn't make many mistakes. She's just world class.
Yeah. It looks very flustered as she's doing it.
No, she's
old measures.
She's just so focused on any horse that she sits on.
How much of a difference does it make? We've just seen Sarah, who only rides the one horse. Izzy rides lots of horses, lots of different horses, lots of different levels. So she's constantly out competing, seeing strides, jumping, all different types of tracks.
It just becomes second nature, you know, when you're jumping as many as she does. And as a rider, and if you're a little bit like mentally unsure, having a rail on one horse is okay, because you've got 5 or 6 others that you go out and you perfect that movement. So you had a rail, she was just a bit bold coming down there. No, and the horse is brave, but it could have had a little bit more respect and sat on its bum. So then she waited. Again, just a bit brave, like not really backing off.
Well, a costly 2 down for Izzy Taylor. Von Berner Lancer puts them on a score of 41.0, drops them 7 places on the leaderboard. They're in 15th at the moment, and Izzy will still be looking to pick up a few series points if she can. Well, as we head into the final third of the competition, let's go back to Durham to Echo Ratings Corner.
Nicole, things are a little bit more on track now, a little bit back closer to what I expected it to be. It is going to be a challenge. We have 8 to go. I think we've got 4 yeses and 4 maybes. So keep a very close eye on these. Laura Collett in next. Every single poll here gets very, very influential in terms of time penalties tomorrow. What you're trying to do is buy yourself the time tomorrow. 4 maybes, 4 yeses.
Well, this young lady is one we will be watching very carefully, because it is Laura Collett and De Capo, a horse that is more than capable of jumping a clear round. And Laura, of course, was on the podium here in 2nd place 12 months ago. She was 2nd in the series last year. Both of those occasions were behind Chris Burton, who we'll see very shortly. But if Laura can jump clear here, she can pile the pressure on, and importantly, she would be within a fence of Chris Burton when he comes forward, and he is her closest challenger in the series fight as things stand at the moment. So Laura Collett really wants to leave the poles in the cups. She won at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this year with London 52. Can De Capo step up to the plate?
Well, she's got a game head on. I was having a chat with her last night. You know, I saw her win her first 2-star a long time ago, and she's just gone from strength to strength. So she's a little unbalanced here. This will be interesting. Yeah, good effort over that, and yeah, she's ridden it well. A little bit off there. Yeah, horse has responded really well there. Drifted a little bit there. It's pinging.
She could actually afford a pole down to stay ahead of her nearest challenger, which is Pietro Sundai, Rubis de Plaire. But if she wants to put the pressure on the leaders, she's got to leave the poles up. Time looks to be reasonably okay.
She's been cautious in a couple of turns, but the pace is really good. Oh, look at that. That's in the air. Good.
Well, Laura Collett comes to the final fence. She's on a clear round. The clock is still green. It's absolutely fine. She's just got to clear the last. And she says, pressure on you, Christopher Burton. Laura Collett wants the series points, 32.2. And she will be looking to climb ever closer to that podium and put the pressure on those to come. So, heading into the final 6. But for now, let's go to Charlotte.
Sarah, it was going so well, and then it all went a bit wrong.
Yeah, he was jumping really well, and I came round to the combination. I sort of kept moving around the corner, but he locked onto the yellow, the double coming backwards, and just went against my hand a bit. And by the time we got him onto the treble, we just were a bit unbalanced through there. I don't know, I must have just ridden a bit like a pillock. Yeah, and once he hits one fence, he loses his confidence a bit. And yeah, then we had 3. What a nightmare, disaster, but worse things happen.
They do, Sarah. Our heart goes out to you, and well done as always. Thank you so much.
She really does absolutely adore this horse, and they will have great fun in the cross country tomorrow. But here comes Janelle Price, Fairy Dynamo. Janelle about to salute to our ground jury, just showing Fairy Dynamo having a good look in the water tray at fence 6. Well, news just in from Equirating Stacks, Laura Collett. Equirating Stacks players needed Laura to jump a clear with no time faults. 97% of people playing along at home actually said she would jump clear with no time. She duly delivered, and she will climb that leaderboard. If you're not playing Stacks at home, you're not too late to get involved. Download it for free in the App Store. We'd love to see you on board. Janelle Price, Fairy Dynamo, 31.9. Can't afford a pole to stay ahead of Laura Collett. Stephen Way and Mark Ruddock in the commentary studio with me. And Stephen, it's a mare that just looks like she loves her job.
She just put down 8 there, but God, she's pinging. And, you know, Janelle's a world-class rider. She knows how to balance her horse, what she's got to do. You just watch and just enjoy it.
Yeah, it was the same with the Laura as well, wasn't it? It was just,
yeah.
Ooh.
Had to work a little bit there. Go on then, Janelle, kick on. Good shot. Just kept the pace really nice and just used the body to keep her off the front rail. Little loss of balance there.
Oh, she rode her luck a little bit in the treble combination. She needs to watch the clock as well. Janelle Price, Fairy Dynamo, on a score of 31.9. She clears the last and she just sneaks over the time, but 0.4 of a penalty. She 32.3 will just drop below Laura Collett, so it does drop her a place on the leaderboard. But Janelle Price puts the pressure on with Fairy Dynamo.
0.4 time penalties in the time of 80.15.
Leader, current series leader, what an amazing clear. He can really jump, can't he?
Yeah, he's an amazing jumper. I'm very lucky. It's nice going in an arena like that on a horse like him. As long as I vaguely get the distance somewhere near where it's meant to be, he doesn't mind long, short, anything. He just wants to leave the fences up. So yeah, it's a real nice feeling.
Looking forward to the cross country?
Well, it's going to be like a bit of a go-kart track. It's going to be tough. I think they've upped it since last year. It's going to be a hell of a competition tomorrow, that's for sure.
We look forward to watching. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you.
Is creeping ever closer. She's moved up a place because of Janelle Price's time faults, and she is getting closer and closer to that podium and series points, which she really does need here this weekend to keep hold of that series lead. Now here comes Tim Lips and Eclipse. They were first in the dressage arena this morning. Put down a marker of 31.3. and they are in 5th position coming forward. So just 5 combinations left to jump here in leg 3 of the 2019 Event Rider Masters Series in Arville. In the studio with me, Stephen Way and Mark Ruddock. And this is a horse that was a little bit on edge in the dressage. You can just see him looking around, taking in his surroundings. Tim knows the horse really well, so experienced, a stalwart of the Dutch teams at championships, the reigning Dutch national champion as well, and a horse that jumped clear at Chatsworth in his Event Rider Masters debut.
And he's only had 2 poles down in 15 international runs.
There we go. Watch this space. Have you been reading my notes, Mark?
I've got mobile notes.
Well, you can certainly see from the start of his round that he is normally very careful.
Yeah,
and
look at that, in the air.
Plenty of scope, Stephen.
No, he's just cruising. You can see why he hasn't had that many poles. He's just loving the job. Really nice balance, like he listened. Look at him, he just listens straight away, ears pricked, off he goes. Oh, and he's cut the turn, he didn't want to waste any time. The adder just dried down there.
Needs to keep a sneaky eye on the clock.
He doesn't waste any time in the air though either. Like even how expressive he is. And has it.
Just takes the back rail of fence 11, the penultimate oxer, and Tim Lips and Eclipse 35.3. That drops him below Laura Collett, below Janelle Price.
79.56, so he's in the time allowed just inside that time allowed with 4 penalties for Tim Lips. That's the front, not off for Tim Lips, 42 down.
Well, that was a really big pole down for Tim Lips and Eclipse, because it was a stack buster as well. 96% of you guys playing along at home meant that he would jump clear. Horse has an excellent record, and Hannah Bickett will have the leading stack going forward to tomorrow on 14, so she can't be caught so far today. Well, here is the man we heard a little bit more about earlier on in the show. Tim Price with the Windrush Equestrian Foundation's Wesco, 30.5 their starting score, in 4th position coming forward and within a fence of our leader. Cannot afford a pole down to stay ahead of Laura Collett either.
This horse is a person pleaser. Like, the crowd get behind him. He's a lovely looking horse, and Tim makes the job look so simple, especially cross country.
Janelle watching on. She'll have no doubt given some feedback to Tim. Probably just told him to go and jump clear, I would imagine.
Faster.
Yeah.
Yes, don't get a time fault. Well, he could actually afford a time fault to stay ahead of Laura Collett, but he won't want one.
Ooh. Yeah, good, lovely rhythm. You could see him. He saw it 4 or 5 strides out. And look at the horse. He's just cruising. Ears are pricked. What do I do next, Dad? A little bit of leg.
Well, Tim Price and Wesco, we're just going to keep watching the clock. They were on the podium in Jardy 12 months ago. Can they put down a real challenge here in Arville? They've done all they can do in the show jumping. It is clear round number 5, and it goes to Tim Price and Wesco. He is a very cool customer, and make no mistake, this is a combination to watch in the cross country tomorrow. Tim Price will be no worse than 4th. I wonder what wife Janelle has to say about that in a second.
Janelle, you just watched Tim's round. It was quite good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I have to I have to give it to him. The horse is a beautiful jumper. He rides it beautifully. They've been together a long time, and you know, it wouldn't be out of place in an American sort of show hunter.
So both of you looking pretty competitive for tomorrow.
Yeah,
who should I put my money on?
Wow, tomorrow's a new day.
Look out behind you. Oh, the whole family are here.
As much as I love to beat Tim, this horse is, he is wonderful, and any day's a good day that we have these two horses, you know, at the front end, at the business end, come Sunday.
Tim, come over here. Tim, come on, don't be shy. Now, you've got to be pretty pleased with that. Janelle's just saying she's chuffed for you. Obviously, she's competitive. We know that. So how are you feeling?
Did she say it through bated breath?
Yeah, she was biting her teeth.
No. You jumped well, yeah? You were good? Yeah. Good. Oh, that's good. No, I was really pleased with him. I've been making the odd mistake with him, and today he just jumped his socks off and felt very nice and together. So.
Well done. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, watch out for Tim Price. He wants to get closer to the podium as Chris Burton, Quality Purdy come forward next in equal second, with Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan next to come forward. Chris topped the podium here 12 months ago. He would be the hot favourite here this weekend now. He is known as the fastest rider in the world. Echo ratings tell us just why, but he needs to leave the poles up. He can't afford a pole down to stay ahead of Tim Price. Quality Purdy, more than capable of jumping a clear round. I think one of the highest rated show jumpers in the field on Echo ratings numbers.
I can see why.
I asked him yesterday, I said, how'd your dressage go? And he said, I stayed in the arena. I thought, oh, thank you. Thanks for that.
Not hanging around.
No, he's always fought. Like, he has this ability just to cover ground and still look still.
And now, Chris Burton would be a rider that you would often find in pure show jumping classes as well.
I think he probably does a lot through the winter and wherever he goes to keep his standard as high as it is. You've got to these days.
Now, he had this mare out at Bolesworth International pure show jumping show this week, so wasn't taking any chances coming into here. A horse that's had a bit of time on the sidelines comes to the treble combination at 10.
Ooh, little rub.
He rattled it, but it stayed. That could be very important. Chris Burton, Quality Purdy, comes round to the final fence. The time, as you would expect, is okay. And he clears it well. So the pressure is on Chris Burton, the defending champion here in Arville. Nice smile as Laura Collett watches on her series challenger.
She's so quick against the clock.
Well, Quality Purdy, Chris Burton, I know they are the Echo Ratings favourites to win here this weekend. You must be turning somersaults in Echo Ratings corner.
I got a little bit nervous there for a moment, Nicole, but thank God. Big, important clear round there for Chris Burton, because he, as we know, is so fast tomorrow. Now the pressure is on. We have two very big rounds to watch, and they've got to keep pace with this. One pull down is 10 seconds tomorrow. Don't forget that, 10 seconds. You can't give Chris Burton 10 seconds. There's a lot coming behind him. Don't knock a pole.
Well, the next two to come forward cannot afford any penalties to stay ahead of Chris Burton, Quality Purdy. The first of them is the man who was on the podium here 12 months ago with Shannondale Titan, 29.7. He's on exactly the same score as Chris Burton. So if he jumps clear, and Chris is obviously still tied with Chris Burton, then the cross-country time tomorrow would likely separate them. If not, it would go back to fastest show jumping time. We're getting way ahead of ourselves though, because Bill Levitt does need to jump clear. The Prentice family own this 16-year-old by Limerick, a horse they absolutely adore. And Bill had a very good clear round in Wiesbaden a few weeks ago with this horse in the show jumping. Can he do it again?
Kick it.
Oh, he had to work hard there.
And I was just as he was coming around, he's just gone a little quiet, so time faults could be interesting here too. That's a better rhythm.
Does just really need to keep an eye on that clock. I think he's just perhaps caught it out the corner of his eye and thought, nope, come on, Alfie, we've got to move on. He cannot afford a single penalty to stay ahead of Chris Burton. They are tied on the scores at the moment, and as things stand at the moment, Bill Levitt is flirting with that tie.
He's obviously, he's going for the clear, definitely, but
he really is.
It's
Bill
at
Levitt,
that risk.
Shannondale Titan coming down to the final fence. They're going to get at least a time penalty or two, and that will mean Chris Burton is second going forward to the cross-country. Bill Levitt, 30.9, actually drops below Tim Price as well. So 1.2 time penalties for 3 seconds over the time costs him a couple of places on the leaderboard, but all the poles left in the cups, and Bill will be close enough to the top of the leaderboard going forward to tomorrow. Well, Bill will be a little bit rueful, I would have thought, of those time penalties, because
he started the course just a little quiet, and then after that Oxer, the double, then he picked it up. It was just the first two fences that was just too quiet.
Well, here comes our leader after the dressage, Gemma Tattersall, and quick look. 28.8, can't afford a pole to stay ahead of Chris Burton. A pole would be pretty expensive on the leaderboard as well. Would drop her right down to around 7th place. It's a mare that is normally pretty careful, and a horse Gemma knows really well.
Yeah, sort of lost stride into that, really positive. Horse is listening, sat there, waiting.
Does its job when it gets there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like and she's supporting it. Yep, she's gone for a long one. Now this will be interesting if she goes for a long one here, what the vertical turns up like. No, the horse has really reacted there, balanced really well. Now she's just cruising down on the 8.
Gemma, again, just needs to keep an eye on that clock. I think she'll be okay. Keep on moving around this final corner, Gemma. Gemma Tattersall, quick look for 5th. They've won an Event Rider Masters leg previously, and they will be last out on course tomorrow in the cross-country over Rudiger Schwartz's cross-country track. Gemma Tattersall, the 2017 Series champion, takes on Chris Burton, the 2018 Series champion. 28.8, Gemma Tattersall is our leader overnight. Well, that really was a copybook performance, and you can see just how much it means to Gemma. Mark, she'll be delighted with it.
And why wouldn't she? I mean, she had a beautiful dressage test this morning, a copybook clear round. Close to the time, just beautiful.
Well, absolutely beautiful, it really was. And I think we're going to hear Gemma's immediate reaction with Charlotte.
Gemma, look at that, smiling. You must be very happy. She can jump.
Yeah, she really can. She's such a cool little horse, and it's so lovely to have her back competing at this level so well. So yeah, really exciting.
And you judge the time perfectly.
Sometimes with her, it's not always to make the time. She spends quite a long time in the air, and if I rush her, sometimes she can have a front rail. So I have to ride it carefully, let's just say. So I knew I could take a stride out here to this double, and just be careful coming into the treble at the end. So yeah, it was quite well thought out.
Yeah, as we saw from the walk in the course, all very, very well thought out. Congratulations, well done. Thank you, Gemma. Great.
Gemma Tattersall is our leader going forward to the cross country tomorrow. That faultless clear round with quick look sees her on a score of 28.8, but will only have a couple of seconds in hand over Chris Burton, Quality Purdy in second. Tim Price moves up into a podium position. Bill Levitt just those seconds over the time allowed, costing him a little bit. Janelle Price, Ferry Dynamo, another to fall victim to a time penalty, drops her below Laura Collett, who has moved a little bit closer to that podium finish. A little bit further on down the leaderboard, Nick Lucy, Kroon leader, gave us one of our first clear rounds. Alex Bragg, Alcatraz, so disappointing to have a pole, and disappointment, huge disappointment for Sarah Cohen and Treason, who will knock themselves out of contention with 3 poles down. So that is the show jumping here in Arville completed, and it really has given us some movement on that leaderboard. And we're just going to take a moment. Stephen Wayne, Mark Ruddock in the studio with me. Stephen, show jumping, it has provided movement, but it wasn't overly tough. Perfectly jumpable.
The thing is, it probably doesn't look tough when you're watching these professionals.
Oh, it's so easy to sit here
Absolutely.
and say.
You know, I'd love to be out there looking like I can do it like that, but this is what the competition is about. These guys do it every day. They are quality. The horses are quality, and tomorrow it will come down to time faults. They will be going for it, and they'll be going hard.
They really will. Mark, your thoughts?
Just how that's put those top 7 even tighter.
Yeah.
Like, so tight. Yeah, and like Stephen says, it's just a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
And they make it look easy, and that's what professionals do.
They really do, but we did see a couple of seconds here and there just really costing people on the leaderboard. Every 0.4 of a penalty does count, and it sets us up for a really exciting conclusion tomorrow over Rudiger Schwartz's cross-country track. The time here is tight. Now, Derm was pretty bold with his predictions coming into the show jumping. Derm, how are you feeling now in Echo Ratings Corner?
Feeling good, feeling confident, Nicole. I should have just stuck with last year's numbers. 39% jump clear last year, 41% this year. So pretty much on course as we would expect. That's up there with the easier ERM venues over the last 3 seasons. You can see it goes back into the top 3, now twice in the top 5. However, it has kept everyone very close. Let's look at the leader, Gemma Tattersall. She's got Chatsworth form. Chris Burton, we know he's the fastest man in the world. Wesco, 5-star form. De Capo coming through. Shannondale Titan is not slow and has been around some big tracks as well. So, you can go through some of the big names. They are all going head to head tomorrow. It's a course that is going to cause jumping problems. It's a course that is going to cause time penalties. I am so looking forward to tomorrow, Nicole. It just is so set up now. It is so set up to be one of the great ERM cross-country days.
It really is. I can tell just how excited he is. If you're watching at home, his excitement is literally vibrating off him. And he will be one, I know, rooting for Chris Burton and his speed across the country tomorrow. Now, 9 seconds on the cross country cover the top 6. That is absolutely nothing here in Arville.
I walked some of the course, and it is twisty, and some of the lines, you can't take a pull, but that's the risk. And there's a combination just after the water, a couple of hedges on this ridiculous line on 5 strides. Now that will cause a bit of carnage, but also when they get home, they have a bounce step corner to corner issue. They need to have some engine still to come home.
And it's turnbacks. There's so many turnbacks where they can just swing 2 meters wide, second.
Yeah, outside rein, outside leg.
And actually, we saw it here 12 months ago when Thomas Carlyle, Upsilon, Oliver Town and Kilnabrad and Evo, both very well placed after the show jumping, ran into problems cross country because they were chasing the time.
Yeah, but that's what pressure is, and that's what these guys do. And that's why out there they're faultless, but out there, totally different.
Well, we will watch this space. A huge thank you to both Stephen and Mark for joining me in the commentary studio for an incredible show jumping action this afternoon. And we will be looking forward to seeing what is in store as tomorrow draws to a close. One thing is for certain, we are going to have a much clearer picture as to how that series leaderboard shapes up. Will Chris Burton catch Laura Collett in the top of the series campaign, and will Gemma Tattersall be able to take another Event Rider Masters leg to add to her tally? We'll be back live at 12:30 with all of the action. That is Central European time. We hope that you'll join us, and thank you for watching.
Crutches hold the ghost that gave the affidavit, but are you ready for it? Steal the money and then take it back to my car. Feel the adrenaline that's pushing blood through my heart. But if you're weak and your arms get tired, burn it in the fire. Steal the money and then take it back to my car. Feel the adrenaline that's pushing blood through my heart.